You already know who's going to be number one on this list, but what does the rest of the offensive tackle class look like? Is it good? Yeah, it's kind of good. But before we get into that, I'm Steven Goodell, better known as What's Crack-a-Lackin'. It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro, and subscribe if you want more content, because I know you do. I do a lot of draft content, got fantasy content coming out as we speak, as well as just NFL content in general. Yeah, I got content. Go ahead, leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. And yeah, I'm gonna give you my top 10. If you want to see my full expanded rankings, you go to Fan to Fan Network. How do you do that? Well, you probably type it in the hyperlink or in the little IP address thingy technology, or you can just follow the hyperlink that I leave in the description or the pinned comment, either or. And you could go check out my full list. I think I got like 20 some guys complete, like fully evaluated thus far. So yeah, go check that out, and let's go ahead, let's do the dang thing, because you already know number one, Penei Sewell out of Oregon. He ain't playing this year, but let's be honest, he really didn't need to. The guy's a stud, he's elite. I will say it, he's a generational talent. Yeah, a lot of people like to throw that word around, but it's kind of true. He only allowed one sack over 706 passing or pass blocking snaps. Great combination of size, technique, and athleticism. And if you ain't new to the channel, you know that I'm a sucker for athleticism. Can't really find any holes in his game. He just has dominated defenders. If you really want to poke holes at it, there's not many great pass rushers in the Pac-12, in my opinion, I guess. But yeah, he's number one. Who's number two? It's Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. He's probably one of the better, if not best, pass blockers in this class. I mean, he gave up 0 sacks last season, and the one lone pressure he did allow came against, I don't know, the Jaguars' first-round pick, Clavon Chaisson. Thought I was going to say CJ Henderson. Nope, it wasn't a corner he gave it up to. But I mean, you can see why he came back, because last year was a pretty stacked class, and not nearly, I don't think it's nearly as stacked this year as it was the previous year. But compared to that class, he did lack the explosiveness. Like, he's athletic, but he wasn't nearly as explosive as guys like Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, and such. But still, he's got great, he uses his hands just brilliantly. And if we could see less penalties, he had like 12 last season, then yeah, he will be the consensus number two. But right on his heels, it's Samuel COSMI out of Texas. And I know a lot of people may be down on, oh, he's weak. Yeah, a little bit. He does get overpowered. He allowed 6 pressures from bull rushes last year, but he is the most battle tested, or at least among the most battle tested tackles on this list. He saw over 600, about 600 pass true pass sets, which those translate to the NFL, or they're pretty indicative of how a tackle will do in the NFL. And you gotta love his athleticism. He's got some of the best movement skills in this class. Teams that run a zone blocking scheme, which guess what, it's pretty popular nowadays in the NFL, so a lot, they're gonna covet him. So yeah, okay, play strength ain't great, but that's something you could scheme around, especially in a zone blocking scheme. And then I have Walker Little, and I've dropped him to a 2nd round pick at this point. Last year I was kind of in the camp of move him to guard, because I just didn't think he was athletic enough to stay on the edge or protect the edge, and I thought he had pretty, like, I just didn't think it. And then going back, looking a little bit further, going back to the back end of his 2018 tape, he did develop better as a pass blocker. And then he was actually looking really good in the season opener last year versus Northwestern, and then bam, season-ending injury. That really sucked. But, and I think it was the knee too, so that's something that does need to be checked out at the combine. But I was really looking forward to seeing him play this year, because I was like, you know what? He's a dominant run blocker. and his game was starting to come together as a pass protector. So I was excited to see him, but now with that, the Pac-12 doesn't have a season. For me, it's kind of hard to get on board with him being a first-round pick. I mean, if anything, he's a late first-round pick. So that's why the second-round grade for Little. And then next, I got RASHAWN SLATER out of Northwestern. This is probably one of my sleeper picks, but I don't think he's really going to be able to rise much further than a day 2 pick just because Big Ten no season. So he went ahead and just declared. But I really like what I saw from in 2019 because he had allowed the lowest pressure rate on true pass sets of any tackle last season. He has experience at right tackle, but when they moved him to left last year, he just became a monster. A lot of scouts will point out, oh, he doesn't have great leverage, he doesn't have great length. And to those people, I'm like, screw you. Don't move him to guard. He plays great. He's proven to be great at tackle. So keep him at tackle if it doesn't work, and then move him to guard. Just makes sense in my head that way. I mean, the dude was great. Yeah, his only up and down game probably was versus Chase Young, because I mean, Chase Young's kind of the measuring stick where he was last year for the Big Ten. And it wasn't even that bad. He just lost a few rushes, and yes, it was probably due to his length. I don't want to talk about it, but overall, the guy he held up pretty well, and I really love this prospect. And then next, EICHENBERG out of Notre Dame really gets a great opportunity based in the ACC. It'll be very telling if he could maybe sneak into the first round. This is probably a guy, since he is playing this year, could. And the biggest knock, he's a limited athlete. And you know, I said it before, I love athleticism, but he does everything else so much well. He's got probably some of the best technique in this class if you're not Penei Sewell, and he's got great instincts. He has a ton of experience at tackle, and yes, he's fighting the uphill battle of limited athleticism, but look at a guy like Mitchell Schwartz, who's literally an all-pro right tackle, and I think EICHENBERG, that is his ceiling right there, and I think it is very attainable. So I'm rooting for you, buddy. I'm rooting for you. Then next on the list, Abraham Lucas out of Washington State, another guy that won't get the privilege to play this season. But he really took full advantage in Mike Leach's air raid offense, as he saw a lot of true pass sets and he did very well on them. We saw what it did for Andre Dillard, which I know a lot of people are like, oh, Andre Dillard, he had a rocky rookie year and then out for the rest of his sophomore year. Yeah, injuries, they suck. But it got him in the first round, and Abraham Lucas, I think he's definitely a day 2 pick at this point. The only kind of because he's got great length and he uses it very, very effectively, but probably the thing that I would have liked at least to see him get better at was his leverage, because he's 6'7", so typically you see guys, because I know this was something Walker Little struggled with. He played too high, so he would get out leveraged a lot of times, and there at times, like when he plays too high, he would get beat by shorter, speedier edge rushers because they kind of just dip under, you know. So I would like to see him play with a little bit lower leverage, but hey, we won't get that. But you know what? Like I said, the guy is very battle tested. He's up there with Samuel COSMI as far as seeing the most true pass sets. So yeah, day 2 guy, second round grade. Jackson CARMAN out of Clemson coming here at number 8, and I had him a little higher, but I'm kind of reeling back because I'm a sucker for the passing game, because guess what? It's pass heavy NFL. That's just the world we live in now, and if you're not good in the pass game, then what are you? You know, so yeah, where he struggles in the pass game is getting out of his stance. He's often beat at the point of attack, which ain't great, but his physical and athletic upside, it's really good. Was able to rebound from that, except for I don't think that happens in the NFL, you know, because you're facing the best of the best. You're facing college football's best in the NFL, so you're not going to be able to get by on that athleticism and physical upside. So that's something he does need to get better at. But talked about physical, the dude's stupid strong, like stupid strong, and he's going to be great in the run game. And he gave up no sacks last year. He had a pretty solid showing against Chase Young, which, like I said, what did I say? Chase Young in 2019, he was the measuring stick for offensive tackles. So, solid showing. Didn't allow a sack all season last year. Good upside. Yeah, you're at least a day 2 guy. And then Jalen freaking Mayfield out of Michigan. The hype is real for everybody else but me. I don't see it right now. I'm not going to be sipping on the Kool-Aid just yet. And guess what? We won't see him this year. There's just a ton of... they're red flags for me. There are a ton of red flags. He only has 1 year of starting experience at right tackle. So he's typically facing... Let's see. The second best edge rusher on the other team. So, and on top of that, he was super inconsistent last year. He gave up a ton of pressure, and a lot of people were like, but he played pretty well against Chase Young because he's the measuring stick for tackles in 2019. But he only faced him like a couple of times. If you look at the rest of the game, he gave up 7 pressures to Ohio State combined. He only saw Chase Young like on 3 or 4 snaps. So you can miss me with that nonsense. I get it. You like the size, you like the athleticism, but at this point, it's just potential. There is no actual production to speak of yet. No Kool-Aid, please. Whew, felt like I just had a testimony. So, my last guy on this list, Daniel FAALELE out of Minnesota. Unfortunately, he won't get to play this year, which is kind of a bummer because he is a bit of a raw prospect. He is very new to the game, but he took a big leap last season, getting much better in pass protection, only allowing 13 pressures. But again, being new to the game, you did see him... the little hiccups, learning the position. He committed 6 penalties. He allowed 3 sacks. But the guy is actually he's got stupid great movement skills for being 6'9", 400 pounds. Yeah, he's a big boy. But he doesn't really dominate on any one snap. He's kind of just like a wall. Like, you ain't moving me, so you better hope to get around me. And boy, this year would have been really good for his growth. Fortunately, he won't get that. So currently, got a 4th round grade on him. But if you want to see the full expanded rankings, what do? You go to Fan to Fan Network. Description, pinned comment, hit the link. It takes you there. But yeah, that's it for the video. Go ahead, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.